In Washington, ghost-like objects dart across the radar screen at the CAA Traffic Control Center at National Airport for several hours, traveling more than 100 miles an hour. Air Force jet fighters spend several hours chasing the objects plotted on the radar scope.
Something else is out there.
There's something else out there, okay.
Of all the banks and braes of bonny Scotland, none holds more fascination than the murky waters of Loch Ness.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem
Definitely.
definite about it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
Blackwater Media presents Darkfall. Real-life encounters with the paranormal and the unexplained. My grandpa was one hell of a storyteller. I mean, I know that most grandfathers are. It kind of goes along with the whole idea of being older, wiser, and full of the kind of life experiences that go into the making and telling of endless, wild, funny, bizarre tales of days gone by. I remember that listening to those stories added to the euphoric, dizzying haze of summer afternoons sitting out on the screened-in front porch. It deepened the creepy but exciting sensations of cool October evenings that seemed to pile onto the enjoyment of an approaching Halloween. And oh my God, Thanksgivings and especially Christmases became high seasons for celebrating the fabled retelling of some of my grandfather's most harrowing exploits of the past. Of course, as we listened to the stories, we all knew that for the most part, these were at best tall tales, wild flights of fancy, with just enough truth sprinkled in to allow for at least the veneer of legitimacy. And the look on my grandfather's face always indicated that he knew he was spinning a wild one. But I remember one Christmas, a Christmas that, as an adult, sticks out in my mind a little bit more than most, when the story that he told us brought out a very different kind of look on his face. As I grew up, the story had all but faded into the backlot in exchange for a predictable boyhood jungle of baseball, video games, movies, cars, and girls. You know, it's funny how the years can pile up on you and go by almost without being counted. Like I said, as an adult, I can remember that year, or that Christmas quite clearly, as if someone had revealed to me an old, half-yellowed photograph from a dusty family album that had been all but forgotten. Anyway, my grandfather said that he wanted to tell us about something that happened to him, or rather something he'd seen a very long time ago that most people would consider too outrageous to believe. He said it was in January of 1940, and that he was then 29 years old. It was, he said, the beginning of a strange year, full of signs and omens that to the observant were difficult to miss. Although he lived in the city, in those days his favorite fishing spots and hunting grounds were never more than a 20-minute drive away. He made mention of the fact that the presence of deer had seemed to dwindle down to almost nothing. Back then, the bear population was higher than it is these days, but he knew that it couldn't account for the drastic absence of deer. Then there was the snow. Yes, it was not that unusual in January and February to see a little snow, usually a modest dusting and less often perhaps an inch or two every 5 or 6 years. After all, it was Georgia, and snowfall of any great significance was for the most part a novelty. But before that January was out, my grandfather said more than 8 inches of snow would fall. Anyway, one cold January day, he said that he'd driven over to visit one of his buddies, Bill Donovan, whom everyone referred to as Donnie. They'd known each other since high school and had spent many a day out hunting rabbit and deer and fishing in the numerous nearby lakes and ponds. When he got to Donnie's house, he got out, went to the front door, knocked, and got no answer. He thought that was strange. Thanks so much for listening to the preview of this amazing story. If you'd like to continue and enjoy the story to its conclusion, head on over to blackwatermedia.net. On the left side of the home page, you'll see the menu. Just click on the tab that says Become a Swamp Hunter Society member. And for the price of $4.99 a month, you'll have access to the members VIP lounge where you can access all of Blackwater Media's premium content, past, present, and future. While you're on the website, also enjoy listening to the vast archive of free material. I'm Dr. William Lester. Welcome to Blackwater Media.